Hi everyone, welcome back to Poetology. I'm Dan and today we're going to talk about something I call blankout poetry. It's very similar to something you might have heard of, which is blackout poetry. So in a blackout poem, you take a black marker and you black out most of the text until only certain passages are kept, usually just words, and you can create very visual pieces by using that method. The style that I call blankout poetry is quite similar, except instead of the black marker, I'm just using this little Tipex thing. So I'm removing the text and it creates, instead of a black page, it creates a white page with just a few words left. And I think it's a very good follow-up from the first how-to video I made, which was how to make a collage poem. I'll put a link to that video below. And with this one, you go just a step further, in the sense that you have to be even more selective about the way in which you choose some words to create your own piece, but it still has a canvas for you to work with. If you're a little intimidated by the idea of writing poetry, or you don't know how to start doing this, then that's a very good way to start. So the first step for this is that you have to choose a text that you will use as your primary canvas. One thing you can use is newspapers. Those are a classic choice for blackout poetry. But I chose a book because some time ago I ordered a second-hand copy of Darling Days by Tillet, Wright, and the copy I got was actually a review copy, so it was not supposed to be for sale. So when the book came out as a paperback, I bought it again and I used the older version to create some poems. The choice I made was to only keep title pages because I like the idea of having titles for the poems and then a very short text to select from. But really anything would work. You just have to choose your first piece. Then you will have to select words that you want to keep as part of the poem. And I suggest you only choose very few words rather than fuller sentences, because that will make it easier to write your own piece as opposed to just going with what has already been written. I'm going to show you an example of how I do it so that you kind of know how to get started, and I will select one of the title pages and show you how I turn it into one of my blankout poems. In order to make this poem with me, you will need three things. You need a text, any text that you're going to use as the primary text for your poem. You need a pencil so that you can work on this text and make a few small unintrusive marks so that you know where to erase. And you need a little Tipex roll like this, but really any Tipex will do, anything that erases the text, or you could use a marker and make more of a blackout poem. You could even use paint. Possibilities are endless, and then you're good to go. So here I've selected one text that I'd like to keep. I like the title, Birth, and I'm going to keep the title. I'm also going to keep moon, sticky, belly, cluttered with darkness. And as you can see, if I zoom in a bit, I've crossed out some of the things I don't use, because if there's no marking on this page, once I take the Tipex thing, it will be very difficult not to make a mistake. So I've just written down some marks, but I made sure I would not, if I circle this, for example, then the pencil marks will be visible at the end. So I tried to make it a bit more discreet. by just crossing out the text that will be crossed out in the end anyway. And I think one danger with this exercise is that you will like the original text so much that you want to keep all of it, or keep entire sentences or phrases. And in order to create something that is different out of this primary text, you have to make drastic choices and only keep a few well-chosen, deliberate words so that you create something completely different. Okay, so I think we're ready to go. Here's my final poem. I've actually changed it a bit more since when I was working with a pencil. And now it reads, birth moon, sticky belly, swimming, trailing with darkness. And so you see, I was not planning to keep trailing, and I wanted to say cluttered with darkness, but again, I guess I followed my own advice and decided to be even more drastic and not even keep two words together and pick another word, a more surprising word like trailing with darkness, to finish the poem. So right after I showed you how I made that blank out poem, I still made a couple of changes. One is that I also deleted the with, because I don't know why I had kept it. Okay, it's really bright. Okay, like this. I removed the with, trailed with, and I also added blank line at the bottom. Just for aesthetic reason, I thought it looked better if the last word was sort of framed by this extra line, so I did that. So now we've got birth moon, sticky belly, swimming, trailing darkness. I've written more of these, and 3 of them are published by Data Bleed Zine. So I will post a link where you can see those 3 poems. There's even an extra poem on the same page, so you can have a look at what I created. I've made quite a few of these, really. So it's a fun thing to do as a series as well. Just try, and some of them will be very good, and some of them will be a bit more, you know, sketchy, but that's all fine. It's a really good way of producing work. It can be very difficult when you're looking at a text like this to think, well, which words do I select, right? How do you make it an actual unified poem rather than just a collection of words? One thing is, you might choose to have a theme. So in the one I showed you, the theme is the moon, right? So I started with birth moon, and that's the idea I held in my mind for the rest of the poem. So I thought that the moon would be like, or could be like a belly swimming in the sky. And because it's always in the night sky, well, no, it's not actually always in the night sky, but we picture the moon usually in our mind as being in the night sky. This idea of trailing darkness also fit within this picture. So having some kind of unified idea of what you're talking about can help you pick the right words. And the second thing to keep in mind is that even though it doesn't need to be grammatically correct in a strict way, it's a really good idea to have some kind of syntax so that the sequence of words makes sense to the reader and is organized in some way. It may not be visible from the first read, but usually you should be able to group words in a certain way. Even though there's no punctuation, in this one you can kind of see a break after swimming, right? It would be birth moon, sticky belly, swimming, trailing darkness. So maybe birth moon, sticky belly swimming, trailing darkness. Even though there is no conjugated verb and it's not a grammatical sentence per se, there is a grammatical logic to the way in which it's presented. So bear these two ideas in mind when you write your own creation. I'm planning to add to this How to Write Poetry series regularly. And as we go along, it will become a bit more ambitious in the sense that you will create more of your own words and rely a bit less on external texts. But I think these exercises are really useful to kind of find this playful attitude to writing that sometimes we can forget, because if you've been to school, I mean, some teachers are great at making things funny and engaging, but you know, we've all had some horrible poetry experiences at school where it was all about getting it right, and if you got it wrong, then that was the end of it. So it's really important to find a playful attitude, because this is about expressing yourself, it's about enjoying what you do, it's about saying something uniquely that nobody has said before. And the only way to do that is to get going and be experimental in your approach to it and try to enjoy yourself. So happy writing. If you make a poem like this following this video, I would love to see it. So let me know in the comments and maybe post it on Instagram and send me your Instagram handle. And don't forget to check the link that I will post to Data Bleed Zine, because if you like more visual and experimental poetry, you will love what they publish. And also let me know in the comments if there is any specific how-to video that you would like me to offer you. I'd be very happy to take suggestions, be it how to write or how to read poetry. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you again next week. Bye.